What's up, you guys? It's T-Rex, aka Brightside Developer, and in this short video, I'm going to show you the ultimate stack to be able to develop any single page web application from styling, theming, all the way to the data fetching. But before we get into it, show reel. Hit it!
I don't have a show reel yet, but this video is about to be lit, so enjoy. Yeah.
Alright guys, let's get right into it. So we're going to be building this using React, specifically Vite, and we're going to use this TypeScript and TailwindCSS and TanStack as our stack. So there's two TanStack things. All you got to do is pull up the docs. We got TanStack query. That's going to be for fetching our data. And we got TanStack router. That's going to be for routing across the app. And we got Tailwind for our styling. So I'm going to start with Tailwind. I'm just going to copy these bad boys. But first of all, actually, I'm going to cd to my directory. And I'm going to make a folder. Or actually right here, I'll just say npm create Vite at latest. And I'm going to name the project lit app. Like that. Boom. And then I'm going to pick React. And then I'm going to pick TypeScript with the speedy web compiler. Now, I'm going to cd into lit app. Then I'm going to type code dot. That'll open up a new VS Code in that directory. As you can see here now, I got all of these bad boys. I'm going to zoom in again for you. And then I'm going to install Tailwind. So if I put this bad boy on that side and that other one on this side, just gonna copy that, paste that, press enter. I'm gonna go into the TanStack query installation and copy that. Oh god, try to copy that, paste, enter, go over here, copy this, paste, enter, and then I'm going to go back to Tailwind, copy this, go into the Tailwind config. This is what it says to do, so that's what you do. You control A, control V, you scroll down, you go to your index file inside of source, just boom, like that, save that. Then I'm going to delete the app, CSS, I'm going to go in here, select everything, type RFC, and just get a base component that looks like this with a class name of text red so we can test. You see it installed React router and TanStack query probably somewhere. I don't know if it installed TanStack query. I'm going to do that one again. And then I'm going to go to the DevTools tab because these libraries have insanely awesome dev tools, so we're going to want to install those. And then after that, dev tools here, copy, paste, enter. All right, now we're at the point where I'm just going to run another npm install because might as well, and then I can just start this project. So npm run dev. And I'm going to open it up, and we have a red app. So that means we likely set everything up. Next, we're going to go into setting up the router and the query provider. All right, for the next part of the show, what we're going to be doing is setting up the router. This is like so fun and so awesome, so I hope you're excited. First thing, I went to the quick start in TanStack router right here, and I realized we also need to get this Vite plugin to just make it so basically it'll automatically generate everything for you. And I'll show you what that means. It literally does it for you. Like, you don't have to write code. It just automatically will do it for you. So, sounds crazy, but it's 2024. So, right here, all we have to do is add the TanStack. I'm going to Control-Shift-P and type a reload window because VS Code doesn't find it. Okay. I'll just copy it from here. Like that. Boom. And that's function. And just like that, we added that plugin to our Vite config. So now we're thriving. Now what we do is we got to set up the routes system. So this is folder based. So if you make a folder called Apple, and then you put a file in there, it's going to be /Apple to get to that route. So that's like folder based. So how this works is you have a folder called routes, and these are going to be routes to your pages based on the folder structure will be how your website is laid out. Then what we need to do is we need to create a file inside of here called index.tsx, like that. And then we need, I think, an underscore. Okay. This needs to be replaced with this. So you just literally copy this from the docs and you paste it in your main file. We can go ahead and delete the app file. It's not able to find that because we need to run npm run dev. So how this works, when you have this Vite plugin here, is when your server's running, it will automatically generate the routes for you, and it literally creates this file and just will code it out for you. So it knows that there's this index here. The only thing that we're missing still, I believe, is we need the underscore root file, because that right here, this underscore root file is what's going to be the first thing that renders through this router provider. So it's a wrapper on everything. So if I create a new file, underscore root.tsx, and I just paste this in here, I'll remove that for now. And it generated that root for us. So now if I refresh here, we have nothing. Okay, so we have our root main. So this is probably root. And the reason that is because what this is triggering, this is just basic JavaScript that gets an element by ID. And the example that TanStack had on the docs had app in it, but Vite creates it with root here. So we could change this to app. Now it's getting the right div and injecting React into it, which is injecting our router provider. We create the router. This is an auto-generated file. Creates the router, goes into here, and we come out of the root, and then the outlet is what this index file is coming out of. Everything will come out of the outlet. But now we have these dev tools, and we can also render the TanStack query dev tools, which I thought we installed. I thought we installed these. I think it's like that. React query dev tools. Oh. It's called React Query Dev Tools. There we go. Now, if we look at our app, you'll see we have our router dev tools. It gives us the state of the router and the state of the route we're on. And hopefully, when I do npm run dev again, we'll have the React Query Dev Tools as well. So if I just hit a quick reload on there, it's mad because we have to wrap our app in the query provider. So this is the last step, and then we'll have all the TanStack router and query stuff set up. So over here in our router provider, what we can do is we can create our query provider. So query is going to hold all of the state, all of the context of all of the data we fetch. It's going to keep it. It's going to garbage collect it when it's a good time to garbage collect it. Everything will be happening automatic, and it will hold all of our data so we can access it extremely easy and fetch it extremely easy, and save API calls and stuff like that. So this is going to be our query client, which is from React TanStack React query. It's a class, and when we create it, it creates our client. And then what we do is we wrap the entire app in a query client provider that takes the client as a prop. And then I wrap everything around it. So now everything has access to the query client provider, and then our router is routing out of that. Now the last thing we can do, which is really cool, is since the router and the query is created by the same guy, he was smart and allowed us to pass this context through, which allows us to have the query client within the router. So that will allow us to do some really cool things where we can use our query in the router. So for example, before the page even loads, we can already have the data. So I'll be getting into that shortly, but now we have completely set up our app with Tailwind, with React Router, and text blue 500. Tailwind, I think that's blue. Now I'm sus. Awkward. Think it should be working. Oh, so the reason that's probably not working is this. So if you run into this, here you go. Wait, it's saying every file inside of the source folder. This should be fine. We know what it is, guys. Don't you worry. Watch this. Ready? 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 Ready?
Oh, no.
Need the style sheet.
Oops, dot slash. Boom! There we go. Look at that. You got to import the index.css. I guess when we copied this file over from the docs, didn't bring over the index.css. So now that that's imported, we have our Tailwind kicker base components, guard, stuff like that. Now what we're going to do is we're going to look at how to set up the theming, and then we're going to look at fetching a little bit of data, but we're going to do it quickly and just adding another route. And that's going to be the basis of this. And then I want to see you guys comment and see what you want to get created. Because we can basically make anything. We could probably take Google out of business with the apps that we can make with this stack. So I'm extremely excited to get into that. So let's get straight into these CSS vars. All right, so how we're going to do this, it's going to be extremely simple. So we're going to first wrap this in a layer base, because this is going to be the base of our app are these colors. So we're going to do :root. Now what this is going to be is light mode. And then we'll have a .dark. What this is going to be is dark mode. Then you could have another theme called like ice, right? Oops. You could have another theme called ice, and then you could have a dark ice if you wanted by doing something like this. So just putting that out there that is totally a possibility of having a bunch of themes. Now, lastly, we're going to have something we're going to do to the body. So let's start with a few colors. So we'll say background. We're going to have a background. And then on light mode, it'll be that. And our foreground is going to be a color like that, I guess. Hopefully it knows what it's saying. Primary, I want it to be like blue. So hopefully that's blue. And secondary, I have no idea what these colors are. But then this will probably be the opposite, because Copilot's pretty smart. And so what I'm doing is I'm creating these. Now, background, foreground, definitely. Primary, secondary, definitely. And then you probably want, you want popovers. So things that like pop up on the screen. You want border. So you could have popover background, popover foreground, popover border, just normal border for the other parts of the app. And then you maybe want a card. So there's a lot of cards on apps. So you might want a card. So you just create your whole scheme like this. Then what you want to do is go into your Tailwind config. And here we're going to, one other thing is extremely important. And this can just go, to keep it clean, I'm going to put it in another root one, because it's not color that I want here. Here is where I want my spacing variable. So spacing will maybe 1.5 rem, like that, and then we want inner spacing. So that's for like in a card, and this is for like the outside. So I usually have two spacing variables like this, and then what you can do is at media screen, and then you can use the Tailwind media queries like SM, like that, and then say that, like that, there. Now these CSS variables, actually, what I think you're supposed to do is like this. Yeah, that's better. So that's screen, and then I'm selecting, because you don't want to have selectors and selectors. This is okay. Media, you can have a selector inside of media. So now we have our spacing changing different sizes. We have our colors, light mode, dark mode. Now we can go into our Tailwind config. So the first thing we can extend is the spacing, and then we're naming it spacing, and it's going to be the CSS var spacing, and then we're going to have, and this needs to be in quotes because it's going to have a hyphen, inner spacing, which is inner spacing, like that. Then we're going to go to our colors, and we're going to extend our colors. So we're going to say we're going to have a background, which is going to be this, foreground, which is going to be that, primary, which is going to be that, secondary, which is going to be that, and that's that, just like that. Done. Now we have these vars set up in our project. For dark mode, we're going to use class name. So I think dark mode, we're going to use the class name. So that allows us to have a selector in Tailwind like this, where now if it's dark mode, we can make the text blue, for example. So I guess this doesn't seem to be applying red. So you notice this text red isn't applying, and I think actually the reason is because I can put colors in inside of extend. See, now it's the red is there again. So if I add colors in extend, now I'm extending the colors, I'm not overriding the colors. So by doing that, now I can also change this to and actually I was hinting at this earlier about this body. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to at apply BG background. I'm going to apply this on everything. There we go. So I'm applying the background color on the body, and I'm applying the text color on everything. And if I want a different text color, then I just say text primary, for example. All right, I'm getting a phone call. We have our index, our Tailwind config set up. Now it's time to start taking action on this component. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually create a function called home, which is just going to return home. And then I'm going to update this to be home. There we go. Now the component's home, and it's right here. So it's a little bit cleaner. So give me a second. I'll be right back. I mean, it's actually not going to take any time for you. So I'm saying take a second because I'm actually going to pause recording, but you know what I'm saying. So I'll see you in a second. So I'll show you why this is so awesome now. So if I come in here to my elements and go to the HTML, and I add a class equals dark, you'll notice nothing happened. Awkward. Alright, so I figured out the issue with dark mode not going right away. It was inside this layer base, right? So if I just take both of these, their vars, and I put them out here, then all of a sudden, when I run this, that puts the class dark on there, it will in fact change from light to dark mode, which looks fire. Alright, so here we have the code Go into the index here. Here I have the code right here to toggle the dark class on the HTML. And here I have something that checks what the system preference is. So what we can do here is we can create for our route here what's called a loader. And this is thanks to React or TanStack router, is you can have this loader. And so what we're going to do is we're going to test local storage. Local storage dot theme so we'll say something about it. Theme equals dark. Hold on. What do we want to say? Yeah, we want to say we'll say this. If not local storage. One moment. So if we do not have a theme in the local storage, then what we're going to do is we're going to use this as our theme. So this will return true if it's dark. So what we'll say is copy this, and then it's going to be, I'll cut this. This takes a second argument of true or false. True, it will put dark on. False, it will take dark off. Sorry if I got too close to the mic there. So if they don't have one set, then we're going to set it to be whatever their preference is. Otherwise, what we're going to do is, that means that they have one set. So then what we'll do is we'll say document this else document this is going to be this. So we can also maybe make a variable for this called local theme. So now we can change these to say local theme equals dark. And the last upgrade we can do is taking this function and we're going to do .bind, and this is what we're binding, and the first argument is always going to be dark. See, it's both times we use it, it's already dark. So now basically it makes it so I can use this function and just pass in only the second argument. It knows I only need the second argument. Before I binded dark on here, it was expecting the string of the class and this, but I'm binding dark to always be there and returning this new function. So now I can change this to just say toggle this. Now, last thing I can do to just clean this up even more is this right here. If I can cut this in front of here and say if this is true, do that. Otherwise, do this. Now I don't need any ifs, ands, or buts. So now I have a little system here that, see, right now it's dark mode because not because I've stored anything or saved it, but that's my preference on my computer. So yeah, dark mode. I change this to light. Now we could actually add an event listener for our website, but you can see refreshing, it'll change based on my PC's preference. I think it would be nice, but maybe we can set that up later. This gives us a real good idea of some theming practice where you're able to create all your themes, and everywhere you just use text foreground, text card, like card foreground, or BG card, BG border, card border, or whatever. So you just have all of these colors, and then you can add more themes in the future, and it's really easy. Along with spacing. So everywhere I use spacing, I can just do P spacing, and then in here I can say like class name, margin bottom or padding bottom of inner spacing. And now everywhere my app will be completely consistent because I'll be using the same variables everywhere. You can even use gap spacing. It's just a new thing that we've defined in our Tailwind config, and it knows what it is. And it's responsive. So super powerful stuff. That is the basis of the theming done. So the next thing we're going to do is look at more into TanStack router and TanStack query and just lock all of this in. And depending on how long this video is getting, which it might be too long, we might do some data validation as well with TypeScript, so that way we know what our data looks like. That being said, I'll catch you in a minute. Alright, and for my next act, I will be showing you how to set up TanStack query and router together to be able to prefetch before the page even loads the data, and then be able to refetch it whenever you want. And it's just super easy because query takes care of a lot of stuff for you. Now I'm going to show you the way that I like to do it, because the way I like to do it is I create my query in one file, and then I can use the use query hook anywhere, and I just use that query as the argument. What that means is I'll show you. So I found this API that I can use, and there's a little cat here, that will give me a setup and a punchline for a joke. And so how we're going to use this API, which I'm going to add as a comment right here, is create a new folder inside the source folder called API, and create a new file, and it's going to be called create joke query options.ts. Create joke query options, and I'm going to export create joke query options, which is a function. I'm going to export the function, and this function is simply going to return query options from TanStack query. So this takes an object where you need two main things at a minimum. The one thing is query key. So how this works is it's an array, and anytime that you use this same key, it won't need, the TanStack will know, okay, I already have this data, I don't need to refetch it. But if it feels like it does need to refetch it, it will automatically update all the other places you're using it. So the key allows you to make a request and use that hook all over the place, use the context without refetching it over and over and over to get it in different places without having to pass props. It's like amazing. And then we need the query function, which is an async function that is going to return a fetch to this endpoint, and it's a GET request. Then I want to take the response and turn it into JSON like that, and then I want to return that. So that's what's getting returned to this function, and then I'm done. So now I've set up this fetch that will fetch this, turn it into an object, and that's what it returns. If it throws an error, this will catch it as well. The last thing I want to do, which is really good for when you're making requests where you need to confirm your data and make sure it's the correct kind of data, is doing some parsing to make sure it's the right type. So I like Zod because it does a wonderful job at this. So I'm going to import Z from Zod, and I'm going to const create what a joke schema. This is kind of what they do, say the word schema. This is what a joke looks like. A joke is going to be an object, and is an object, and this object has a type, an ID. So it has an ID, which is a number. It has a type, which is a string. It has a setup, and it has a punchline. Literally perfect. That is exactly what it has. Do I really want to switch it up on you guys? There we go. There we go. That's better. So now that I have my joke schema, I can also create a type from this. So I can say what a joke is. Or no, what am I saying? Type. Joke. And I'm going to export it in case I need it later. So now I have this type and I have a schema. But what's nice about the schema is what I can do here is I can say then this data, I want to joke schema dot parse this data. So what that means is it's going to run through this schema. It's going to be parsed by it, and if it doesn't match the way this looks, it will throw an error because that means something's not working. But now, if it does work, I know for sure this is going to be this type. Now it knows since I parsed this, it knows that this query function is going to return this for me. It knows for a fact, and this is why it's so helpful about this. So if I go now to the routes, I'm going to create a new file, and I'm going to call this the jokes.tsx. I'm going to delete this file. I want to have my terminal running, so this is a great example because like I was saying before with this plugin, when I create a new file in here, what it should do for me, jokes.tsx, is it'll automatically generate a new file route for me. So now that I have this, I'm just going to make the jokes component just like that. It's created this new route. So now when I go over here, I can add a link, and it can go, when I do control space in here, it knows about this jokes route that I just created. So it's all type safe. You cannot make a link that goes to a route that doesn't exist. But since I made this file, /jokes now exists. So I'm going to go ahead and close that and go back into our app and save, refresh. Oh, I called them both home. I'll call this one jokes. Now if I click over there, I can toggle between these two routes, and you can see in the URL jokes is going up there. So we're going to go to the jokes route, and what we're going to do is we're going to use this amazing hook, use query. So it's going to give us back some data, which is going to be a joke, and I'm going to use query, and what I'm going to pass to this are those query options I made earlier. So create joke query options. So I'm going to call that, and this is going to return. This now knows it's either undefined if we're fetching, or it's a joke. So what we can say is, if there's not a joke at the moment, let's just return loading. Let's return loading. So now you see when I refresh this page, it's loading. It loads for a second until it gets the joke. So that means the joke is here. So at this point, TypeScript knows if there's not a joke, it returns this. So it knows by the time it's over here, joke is going to be defined, and it's going to have these properties. Now what I can say here, joke dot there we go. I'm going to make it bold. And then we're going to say we're gonna do. Okay, we're gonna create an input here. That's a type of checkbox. And then what we're gonna do here is we're gonna create a group, and then we're gonna say here, if the group has an input checked then opacity 100, otherwise opacity 0. So that's going to be for revealing the joke right there. So we'll just adds and then inner spacing. What do you call a fat psychic? A fortune teller. That's pretty good. Just for the effect, we're gonna add a transition opacity. There we go. Looks good. Now we can reveal the joke. Now, this is cool, but you notice when I reload the page, there's a moment where it says loading. Wouldn't it be cool if we could have the data before we even before we even render the pages for the first time, where we don't even need this line? Well, that's where a very, very cool trick comes in, that where earlier we passed the query client to our router. So now we're able to do something really, really cool inside of our router. So if I create a loader here, and what this loader is going to do is going to it has access to the context from before, and that context has the query client in it. And then we can say query client dot ensure queries, and then it takes create joke options. Hold on, that's in the main context query client. It totally has it. Oh, so this is something. Oh wait, no, it's here or here. Create route with context. So let me go ahead and whip up the doc on that. So I call the function, and it returns a function, and then I call that. So that's what we got to do. What that's saying is this is a function we got to call. Then ensure query, I think. That's probably my problem. So we call that ensure. What the hell? Query client dot ensure query. That's gotta be it. Ensure query data. Hey, look at that. So when I refresh, you notice we have the joke before the page even loads. So if I clear my cache as well, which I need my console open. Look at that, dude. Did you know crocodiles could grow up to 15 feet, but most just have 4? There's somewhere I need to add a type because it doesn't know that this exists, although it literally does. I think the last thing for this video, because we're going ham today, is I just want to make a button that does get another joke, and it's not going to do a window.reload. I just want to show that this... Oh, here's another thing. I should be use suspense query, not use query, because that's why I was trying to figure out why this looked like it was changing in the little moment. Now this suspense query will wait for this to be done, for this to be insured, and then it will use it. Then it will render this page. So now things are looking a lot smoother. So we're suspending while this is getting insured. And then this has so many, like a plethora of features. But the one I want to use is refetch. So it's a function called refetch. And we're just going to throw that right there and call it. And so now when I say get another joke, it'll get another joke. And we got our 2 routes, fetching data. We didn't really get into the dev tools, but you can see here, this is the data. I can look and view at the data, and it's so simple and so easy and so nice how I can view this data and see the data in here. I can refetch it, I can invalidate it, reset it, remove the data, things like that. And I also have the router. And so it gives you so much good detail that it helps you debug your data. And that's why I love it so much. So I'll be excited because this is obviously the basics, and we can create some massive projects with this. But the foundations that I'm laying here right now, in terms of theming and in terms of how you set up your router and your data fetching, is the future. It's the easiest. It's the best. It's almost like everything is done for you. We literally have a plugin that codes a file for you, so you get all the type safe routes. It's insane. And I can go into so much more detail. So I'm extremely excited for that. So if you're watching this video, please comment below what it is you're looking for, what you saw maybe in this video, or what you want to create in your future, and comment that, because that will happen. You know what I'm saying? So I'd love to hear from you. Anyways, like this, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll talk to you later. Peace.